I began training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu about a year and a half ago. I'd wanted to train since I first saw it in action on a VHS tape that my friend and I rented from Blockbuster Videos for $1.99 a day. It was the spring of 2000. By then, the tape was already nearly 7 years old and was tucked away in the back of the store with the seedy material, things like wrestling tapes and those other works of art deemed to be of the lewd persuasion. From the opening scene, my friend and I were in for a brutal and shocking display of human aggression. I wouldn't say that it was novel, because I grew up in a neighborhood where violence was on display almost daily, and sometimes to deadly effect. No, it was shocking because I didn't think that this kind of violence would ever be allowed to take place in an arena, watched as a spectacle and videotaped for posterity. A quaint idea, I know, in today's world of YouTube fight videos, where the current iteration of the UFC is civilized compared to what is on display throughout the internet. As we watched the fights unfold, we readily expected the procession of brutish competitors to scale up the violence. But then something happened. A slight, meek, Brazilian competitor, dressed in white pajamas, walked out from the locker room, accompanied by a line of other guys that looked like him, including a really old guy that was introduced as his father. I can't remember what my friend was thinking, but I remember well what I was thinking. This guy is gonna get murdered. Will they actually videotape a murder? I grew up watching boxing, and I still love the sweet science to this day. But that has weight classes, and for a good reason. I'd seen plenty of fights in my life until that point, and they hardly ever went well for the little guy. Unless, of course, the little guy was armed. In my neighborhood, usually with a knife. Gunplay was always kept a nocturnal activity, and I was usually fast asleep by then. So the little guy walks into the cage, and I was scared for him. I'm a little guy. I hate watching helpless people getting attacked. I saw and experienced plenty of that growing up. I walked around scared of bullies and always kept my guard up, as most prey animals do. So my sympathetic nervous system kicked into overdrive. I knew what was going to happen, but I couldn't turn away. It would be brutal, but at least it would be over quick. The referee would step in. It wouldn't be like in my neighborhood. This little guy would at least have someone trying to stop it. And then it happened. The little pajama-wearing guy won. It looked like magic. He wasn't throwing brutal kicks or punches. He somehow managed to wrap himself around the big guy, took him down, and unbelievably drained him of his will to fight. The big guy gave up, but he wasn't visibly brutalized. The little guy did this to all of the fighters he faced that night, and each time he dispatched his foe more quickly and in a less violent manner. It looked like his fighting style somehow drained the aggression from the cage. He not only smothered his opponents, but the bloodlust of the entire spectacle. There was something beautiful in his fighting, if you could even call it fighting. Wait, was he even fighting? His face didn't seem to show it. He wasn't baring his teeth. He wasn't angry. He was, would you believe, calm? I wanted to watch more, and thankfully Blockbuster carried several more UFC tapes. I watched again and again as this same little guy in the white pajamas defeated foe after foe in the same calm manner. I was sold. There was a method here, a technique, an unseen science, and art in his fighting. It was something that spoke to me as a little guy. Then finally, some 14 years later, I began to understand what it was.